O'Neill Outside Radio is brought to you by these fine sponsors. CVA muzzleloaders, it's just a better gun. Bojangles' famous chicken and biscuits. Works Power and Garden Tools. Toyota, let's go places. Visit your local Toyota dealer today. Swaggerty's Sausage, the finest premium pork sausage products. Tough Shed, great storage sheds and custom buildings.
Timbuktu Outdoors, the ideal solution to live bait.
Arctic Ice, the most durable, versatile, and effective cooler packs for the outdoorsman. Terminator, the best food plot implements on Earth. And the Georgia Department of Natural Resources, state parks, and historic sites.
From Black Powder headquarters in the Bojangles studio from Three Falls Cabin in the North Georgia Mountains, O'Neill Outside presents CVA Radio. For anything in the outdoors, this is your source. Listen in and call the show with your comments or questions. And now, here's O'Neill.
Good morning, boys and girls, from Black Powder headquarters in the Bojangles studio. I say things over and over again. This is O'Neill Outside, 2 hours of outdoors every Saturday morning via WSB Radio and the Sports Mount Radio Network nationwide. You can listen to us on 95.5 FM and 750 AM over 38 states. Welcome to the program, everyone. It's my pleasure to tell you that this program is brought to you every Saturday morning by Works Tools, Tough Shed, Striplings, Snellville Heating and Air, Rocco's, CVA Muzzleloaders, Gin Spring Power Generation, Swaggerty's Sausage, and Mark Hurd Fuel. So we've got a busy morning and an abbreviated morning, and I'll tell you all about when after I go through this. It's my pleasure to invite you to watch O'Neill Outside Television. It's on VOD networks, Carbon TV, Waypoint TV, the Hunt Channel. It's on all those VOD networks, including Fox Sports South, Fox Sun, Fox Phoenix, YouTube TV, Smart TV. It's disgusting, really. It's everywhere. We will have the Medal of Honor tribute. We will have the normal first hour. Then, with great pleasure, in the second hour, we will be talking with Emily Rushton. Now, Emily is a wild turkey biologist for the Georgia Department of Natural Resources, and we're talking about turkey hunting. Well, more so the turkey population, not only in Georgia, but across the South. And you'll understand why when we get into that discussion. So, with all those things in mind, it's my pleasure to tell you 404-872-0750 or 800-972-8255 outside the Atlanta calling area, and we'll be able to take your calls, your questions, your comments, your criticism, your observations during the first hour of the program, the second hour being reserved for our conversation with Emily Rushton, and you need to stick around for that. This is O'Neill with O'Neill Outside, and we'll be back. Well, I'm just sitting here. We have some technical difficulties, and I'm not sure that you can hear me at all on WSB and on 95.5, but I'm going to start talking anyway, just in case. So we've got some technical difficulties. I'll tell you how this works. It's kind of interesting. The studio...
No, we can hear you on WSB. Just go.
All right, good deal. The WSB signal's getting out there. This broadcast, this radio program, is sent from Gail and I have a little cabin in North Georgia, a little studio in that cabin, and it goes from here to WSB Radio, then it goes from WSB to our office in Peachtree City, from Peachtree City to Texas, all over the country. So it's quite an engineering marvel, and from time to time we'll have technical difficulties. But I understand right now, even though I cannot hear the WSB signal when the commercials and so forth, but it's up to me to start talking and fill the first hour. It's 13 after right now. And I want to tell you that you can watch O'Neill Outside. A lot of people, everything is streaming these days. And you can watch the television show without commercial announcements at o'neilloutside.com. There's several things that you can visit, and it makes that visit worthwhile. And one of the things is, and I'm going to show this because this show does go out on television. It goes on Facebook every week, this televised version of the radio program. And I'm urging you to consider a Christmas gift being the book called O'Neill Outside, 65 Years in the Outdoors, People and Places Along the Way. Now, one of the things that I don't talk very much about that is within the pages of this book with illustrations and the photos and is the recipes from the Big Green Egg. And these aren't just, hey, put a steak on the Big Green Egg and cook it. No, these are some very enticing, fun, delicious recipes from Big Green Egg, and they're listed and described with all the ingredients in the back of this book called O'Neill Outside. It makes a great Christmas gift, and people are buying it like mad, so I'm telling you about it right now. You can get that by going to Amazon, and I'm proud to tell you that all the reviews at Amazon are all 5-star, and you can order it at o'neilloutside.com right on the home page. You can order the book there as a Christmas gift, and as you do that and order it off the home page, then I will sign it for you if that is your desire, or dedicate it or personalize it to someone if that is your desire. Kind of thing. In the book, in O'Neill Outside, is some of the subjects, besides all the recipes, which may be the best part. I have a lot of deer stories, and quite some of them are quite good. We've got an entire chapter on nicknames. How do we come up with that? Well, you'll have to read it and see. We tell the story of when it's personal, when I was a kid in the territory of about 12 years old, when I changed from fishing with a cane pole, and I got my first rod and reel. And who gave it to me? And it's quite a poignant story, really. And you'll find out my favorite uncle who gave me my first rod and reel, and what a surprise it was. And then, too, I guess the best story in the book, in my own judgment, is the first time that I took Gail fishing. We were both 18 years old, and we went fishing late in the evening at a local lake. And I took my little brother along, and what happened to us on that trip and how it mirrored, if you will, our lives together. That was 58 years ago. Wow. Yeah, that was 50. We were 18 years old, so that was 50, well, almost 59, 58 years ago. It's good enough. And how that mirrored our lives together. And yeah, I think you'll find it interesting. So, those are some of the chapters in the book. You can order it at o'neilloutside.com and at Amazon. And as I said, if you order it off the website, I'll personalize it for you. Now, another book, while I'm on the subject, that I want you to consider for purchase and to read is Fly Fishing for Freshwater Stripers. It's by our friend Henry Cowan. And it is an exhaustive look. It's just full of information about freshwater fishing for striped bass using light tackle, not just fly fishing. 10% of the book is fly fishing. The balance of the book is the strategies to locate stripers in freshwater. Extremely popular fish and methods because they get so big. I mean, you know, you catch 3 and 4 pound largemouth or spotted bass, that's a big deal. But stripers are in the territory of 25, 30 and more. And so striper fishing is extremely popular, and using light tackle is one of the things that makes it very popular and very exciting, and Henry handles that. Now, how do you get that book? Well, it's in local tackle shops. It's at Hammond's and fly fishing shops in Buckhead and all along the river, and look for Henry Cowan's Fly Fishing for Freshwater Stripers. But it's not just fly fishing, as I said. So we'll as we get further into the program, before we have our call from Emily Rushton in the second hour, we will talk about strategies for late season whitetails. Strategies for late season whitetails. The rut, the main rut, the initial breeding season is over, except for the state of Alabama. And that's a whole different story, and I've told you that over and over and over again. But there are things that you can do that, and it's not from my brain. No, don't get me wrong. It's not coming from O'Neill. One of my very, very favorite newsletter subscriptions is that of the Realtree.com. The Realtree web newsletter and website is loaded with quality information. Every month there's suggestions about strategies, things to do about cleaning and dressing and caring for white-tailed deer. And it is a terrific, and I get a great deal of information. And later in the program, we're going to talk about the 6 strategies for late season whitetails. And I got that from Realtree. 6 strategies for late season whitetails. We may get into that upon the conclusion of this next break for an ad. Now, lastly then, too, further in the program, it's cold. What a surprise. It's cold. And when it's cold like this, big, delicious white and black crappie get under the docks, these big marina docks at these major reservoirs, and they get under there by the tens of thousands. And you can catch all you want. Just make sure you have permission to be there. Light tackle, and we'll talk about that too as we proceed. Late for cold water strategies for crappie fishing. Oh boy, now is the time. It's easy. Don't even have to have a boat. This is O'Neill. More O'Neill Outside upon our return. We're in the first hour of O'Neill Outside. The second hour will be with Emily Rushton, a wild turkey biologist. Call in, and we'll be handling that subject in the second hour. Right now, let's get to some of the callers. Here's Tony calling from Marietta, Georgia. Good morning, Tony. You're on the air.
Good morning, O'Neill.
Hey,
Always
Tony.
an honor and a pleasure. You were talking about the book that you authored, and what the first thing that piqued my curiosity was about the recipes, because my 34-year-old son, he's turned himself into a foodie.
Oh, good.
And he orders all this exotic stuff, on Uber Eats and whatnot. And he says, once my schedule gets back down to normal, close to 40 or 50 hours instead of 60 to 80, I'm going to start, cooking up some of this stuff my own self. Mm-hmm. So that was the first thing that intrigued me. But what really intrigued me was that my wife and I, we've been together going on 43 years in June. And even though her dad taught her a little bit about fishing, my grandfather owned a fishing resort up in northwestern Wisconsin, up in the Spooner area. And when she and I got together, I would bring her up to Grandpa's Lake, and I really taught her how to fish, and she really got into it. Plus, in her previous life, she was out in Montana, and she knows all the stuff about the outdoors.
Oh, good.
But is there a story about you and your wife and you teaching her how to fish? Did I hear that correctly?
That story in the book is one of the very first ones. We were both 18 years old, so I thought I would impress her with my fishing abilities. At 18 back then, there weren't very many 18-year-old fishermen. So I took her to a local lake, and the things that happened to us with the boat, with the oars, with the light, with the lantern, with the tackle, and boating, returning to the dock, and all that that happened, it's funny, and it mirrored, if you will, our lives together. Being able to handle things.
You know what? The story that the story that you just told, that really mirrors what happened to Linda and myself on a couple of different times on Big Clam Lake up in Wisconsin.
Uh-huh.
So I would buy that book just for her to be able to read that story.
I hope that you do, and I hope that you enjoy it. Most people have. I mean, don't be misled. This is not John Steinbeck. It's O'Neill. So this is not the great American novel.
Let me tell you what. Trust me, I had, as well as my wife, we had John Steinbeck beaten over our heads, and, we were just avid readers. But when you told that story about you and your wife, that really piqued my curiosity. So you said it's on Amazon. Is it on Barnes & Noble as well?
No, Amazon only. Amazon and my website. And
Amazon
if you
only.
like, off my website at O'Neill Outside, I will personalize it and sign it and send it to you for Christmas. It's a great gift, really.
Oh, that sounds great. What is the? How do you spell your first name, O'Neill?
It's
Or
O,
last name,
capital
rather?
O, apostrophe, capital N-E-I-L-L, O'Neill Outside. But if you go to Amazon and just
capital
put O'Neill
O, capital
Outside
K.
book. Pardon?
Okay, but your direct website is capital O, capital E, capital K rather, E-I-L-L.
Yes, O'Neill Outside.
Yeah, but with an A on the end.
No, just O'NeillOutside.com.
Okay, so OK.
No,
E-I-L.
O-N-E-I-L-L.
Oh, got it.
O'Neill. There you are. And I hope you all, and I hope you order it.
All right.
And I
Always
hope
love talking to you, man.
I hope you enjoy it. I trust that you will.
No, I know I will, and I think she will as well, and as well as my youngest son.
Good deal. Appreciate
Thank you
the
so
call,
much.
sir.
And if I don't speak to you before Christmas, happy Christmas, Merry Christmas to you and all your family and all the listeners.
Wonderfully said. Thank you, sir. There we go. All right, let's thank you. Let's see who's up. Let's talk to there's John in Lilburn. John's giving us a call talking about deer tags. Good morning, John. Hello,
Good morning.
John.
How are we doing?
There you are. What's going on, son?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, just a question. The deer tags this year, you only get 2 bucks and 10 antlers.
That's right.
My question is
in Georgia. Uh-huh.
Right now.
Uh-huh.
And everyone I've talked to just about has already bucked out for the year, and they're not going back in the woods.
Oh.
And so that leaves a bunch of does running around, which has been part of our problem as far as, car crashes, things like that. And it seems to me that they maybe, I don't know about the DNR that much. It's just what people know, but it seems like they could have maybe made it $4 in the balance in those, because, like I said, the hunters they're not going back in the woods, and I think a lot of them are starting to think about turkey now. They bucked out, and so they're moving on to next season. And I don't know, it just I was talking to my cousin, and he just said the does are just everywhere.
Well,
and
yes, they are,
and them because the bucks are pretty prolific.
The heavy limit.
The bucks are pretty prolific too.
John, the heavy limit or the liberal limit on does is to encourage you to hunt does. The buck's a problem. We've got too many. There's probably 10 does for every buck in Georgia, if you will, Georgia. So That's the encouragement.
Right.
So now that you have your 2, now you need to hunt some does. I will always go. Pardon me, but O'Neill will always go with what the biologists say. I mean, they're scientists. They're not something that you hear at the campfire. So my encouragement is for those guys who have already gotten 2 bucks. I mean, harvest some does and give them to the food people. Take them to people that don't hunt and so forth. Yes, by all means, we need to control the number of does, and that's why that limit is so liberal.
I understand. Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate. Oh, one other thing. The sausage that you offer out.
Yeah.
Not the strip ones, but and I don't mean to compete, but the other that you give with your prize box.
Yes.
What is the name of that?
Swaggerty's. Swaggerty sausage.
Okay.
It's made in Kodak, Tennessee, and that is outstanding.
It's some fine sausage.
Yes,
and
it is.
We found an outlet out near us, and but I just couldn't remember the name of it because we got folks coming in for Christmas, and I want to make some sausage balls out of that.
All right, good idea.
That is good eats.
You bet.
I'll let you go in there. You have a Merry Christmas, and we'll talk to you next year, I guess, huh?
You betcha. Thanks for calling, John.
All right, thank you.
You bet.
Thank
there
you.
We go. Let's see. It's 33 after the hour, and we've got time to talk to. Next up would be Mark in Camden County. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning, O'Neill.
Yes, sir. Where you headed today, sir?
I'll be my last hoorah going to Talbot County. I'm going to sit in the woods up here by Pine Mountain all weekend.
Okay, good for you.
Had somebody asked me the other day why I'm still going deer hunting. I'm already tagged out on bucks, and I kind of give them that dumb look like I'm a deer hunter. It's going to be over before long. I'm going to go sit in the woods, and maybe I'll shoot a doe, but I'll probably just enjoy the weekend and maybe film a lot of them.
That's a good idea. As a matter of fact, that is an outstanding thing to keep in mind for youngsters.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I mean, I've been really blessed this season. I've killed 2 really nice bucks, but I deer hunt because I love going deer hunting. I love being in the woods. If I get blessed enough to take a couple of good deer like I did this year, then that's great. If I don't, it's still great.
Well, Mark, let's face it. When you pull the trigger, the hunt's over.
Pretty much, and the work begins. I mean, that's part of the hunt to me. I actually enjoy that too.
Oh, but, certainly. Yeah, you just need to kill them close to the truck.
You're talking about late season deer strategies. I wanted to throw something out there for maybe a little bit more of a novice hunter. I mean, first thing you want to ask yourself late in the season, what are you trying to do? Are you still trying to kill an old buck, or you just want a deer?
Right.
Second thing you got to ask yourself, how well do you know your property?
Oh, yes.
Do you know where the deer are going to feed? Do you know where the deer are going to bed?
That's right.
And if you want to take an older buck this time of year, and there may still be a little bit of rut activity this weekend, but this will basically be the last weekend you might have a chance at that.
Mm-hmm.
But identify where those old bucks are going to bed. Get in near the bedding areas extremely early, even if you have to get in the stand an hour before sunup, and wait on that buck to maybe mess up and get back to his bedding area a little bit late. That first 20, 30 minutes of shooting light is going to be your prime time.
That's.
I've been deer hunting 50 years, and I've killed a couple of older bucks doing exactly that.
That's what, Mark. That's wonderful advice, and you are right on with that. You don't hunt the food plot; you hunt the bedding areas, don't you?
Right. When that buck's out of the rut, he's not going to be caught dead out in the open. Generally speaking,
correct.
You're going to either catch him slipping out late in the evening, or you're going to catch him slipping back in early in the morning. And I would generally advise anybody not to get in the bedding area and hunt it because you may relocate your deer then. But that's basically your late season strategy. You want to be close to where he's going to go back to bed.
That's right. It's that path between where he might see does and into his bedding area. Hey, that's terrific advice, Mark. Terrific
Appreciate it, my friend. I hope y'all have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and I'll talk with you when I get back from Ohio. I might even call you from Ohio after the New Year's.
I hope that you do. We'll be back on live on the 9th of January. So be sure and call.
I'll call you when I get back there.
Good deal. Thanks, pal. There you go. It's 36 after the hour, and I got to get out of here. I'm late. This is O'Neill. We'll be back. 40 minutes after the hour, you're listening to O'Neill Outside, the #1 live outdoor-based radio talk show in the country. We've got a lot of calls. We want to get to every one of them quickly because we do have the Medal of Honor to do. So here's Paul calling from Brookhaven. Good morning, Paul.
Good morning. How you doing this morning?
Lovely. It's a great day coming up.
Awesome. Just sitting here meditating on some things. I had a couple of quick stories I wanted to share with you.
Okay.
And another question to bring out, but we'll get to that in a minute. Just thinking about when I was, about 5 or 6, maybe 7 when I did this, and I was sitting on the couch playing with a empty cardboard box that some crackers came in, and I got up to go do something. I forget what. It doesn't matter, but Dad saw the empty box, and he picked it up and tossed it into the wood-burning stove. And I came back and went looking for that box, and I got very upset because I couldn't find that box. And Dad got so tired of me being upset over it, he was actually able to reach into that wood-burning stove, grab that box out, and hand it back to me before it caught. Now, can you fathom that in your mind? Can you?
Well, I hope you still have the box. Well, maybe not.
No, I do not. Wish I did, but I don't. But I just had to share that with you. The other story that comes to mind, and like I told you last time we talked, I'm struggling to come up with these childhood stories, but this one jumped out. I told this in church a few weeks ago, and everybody had a ball with it. Mom and I went to and I don't know which one, but Mom and I went to a department store. We were going to buy my brother some shoes one time. And she was having a heck of a time finding his size, and she told him, she says, I guess I'll just have to chop your toes off. And now, if you can picture me as a 7-year-old, I know that's a little difficult because we've never met, but if you can picture me as a 7-year-old, I believed it, okay? And, man, I gave her fits right there in the store, man.
Well,
sure did.
Yeah. Good story. That's a good story, Paul.
Man, the things we remember, you know.
Absolutely. That's what the book is all about. Have you ordered the book, Paul?
No, I have not. I'm still waiting on you to do the audio for me.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, and I thought about that this week. I got to go right now, Paul. Be sure to have a great Christmas, my good friend.
All right.
You bet, and we'll see you soon. Right now, let's talk to our good buddy Milton Crabapple. Good morning, Milton.
O'Neill?
Yes, sir.
Milton Crabapple.
Glad to hear from you, sir.
How you doing this morning?
I'm doing wonderfully. It's
good to hear from you. Heard a little static in the call there. Didn't know if you was on.
Okay, I'm here.
Well, how you doing this morning?
Well, I had a wonderful meal last night. It's cold. It's wintertime, but I enjoy the winter just as much as I do the summer. What are you doing
today? I do too. I just get a little colder.
That's right.
I didn't go deer hunting this morning. I had a lot of work to do. Besides, dude, he wanted to stay home practice. He's practicing, getting ready for that annual pickled pig's foot bobbing contest.
Oh, I see.
It's going to be this Thursday night. You know.
I'll bet that's a sight, I'm sure.
Well, he's won it a couple of times, so he's getting ready. You know, he uses a deer foot right now, just for practice.
I see. Bobbing
but anyhow, that's Thursday night.
Bobbing for Pickle's pig feet.
Yes, sir.
Well,
you get to keep the ones you bob out too.
Oh, I'll bet.
Yes, sir.
I've had Pickle's
pig feet.
You
ought to come join it sometime.
Well, I know it's probably quite an event.
Yeah, I like them.
Yeah.
It's quite an event, yes, sir. You know, you was talking about earlier something you mentioned about believing what the scientists and the biologists say and not listening to the folks around the campfire.
If I have a choice, yes.
Now, there's a lot of wisdom in that, O'Neill. You know, I killed about 100 deer with a 30-30, and then I finally quit hunting with a 30-30.
Mm-hmm.
On account of the folks around the campfire convinced me you couldn't kill a deer with a 30-30.
After 100.
So you got to be careful who you listen to.
Well, that's true.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'll listen to you.
A lot of arguing goes on around them campfires.
Oh, that's right. It's the deer hunting campfire is an event.
It is that, as a matter of fact. Yes, sir.
Yep.
You know, you also, one thing else I wanted to leave you with, too, you was talking about deer hunting, and, you know, you need to change your strategies and change your tactics this time of the year. A lot of folks hunt the same place they was hunting back 2 months ago, or 6 weeks ago, but them deer moved. They changed their strategies along with the food sources, you know, and plus, them mature deer, now this don't go for 18-month-old deer, but them mature deer, them mature does and mature bucks, if you hunt the same, you put your butt in the same spot all year long, well, they know where that spot is, and lots of times they'll get around downwind and check it out and see if you're there or not.
Absolutely. I believe that.
They know whether you're there or not in that stand, you know. You may not see them, but they know where you are.
Oh, absolutely.
So if you just change your location, move about 150 or 200 yards, it's like having another opening day on account of they don't know where you are.
That's exactly right, and that's one of the strategies that we were going to recommend from the people at Realtree. That's an excellent idea. Excellent.
Well, that's good. Well, anyhow, I'll let you go. I just want to wish all you and Miss Gail and all the listeners a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and be safe. Have a good time. I know a lot of folks ain't going to have the big get-togethers they did, but this will be a Christmas we'll remember for the rest of our lives. So everybody be safe and have a good one.
You bet. Glad you called, Milton. It's always a pleasure, sir.
Stop by the jail.
I will do that, too. And now it's time for the Medal of Honor tribute in the first hour of the program today. We're going to get to that right now.
Honor, courage, and strength of character. These qualities are embodied by the recipients of the Medal of Honor. Now let's recognize this week's Medal of Honor recipient on O'Neill Outside.
Kenneth D. Bailey, Major, Marine Corps, September the 12th and 13th, 1942, in the Guadalcanal in the Solomon Islands. Completely reorganized following a severe engagement of the night before, Major Bailey's company, within an hour after taking its assigned position as a reserve battalion between the main line and the airport, was threatened on the right flank by the penetration of an enemy into the gap of the main line. In addition to repulsing this threat while steadily improving his own desperately held position, he used every weapon at his command to cover the forced withdrawal of the main line before a hammering assault by superior enemy forces. After rendering invaluable service to the battalion commander, reorganizing the troops, and extending the reverse position on the left, Major Bailey, despite a severe head wound, repeatedly led his troops in fierce hand-to-hand combat for a period of 10 hours. His great personal valor, while exposed to constant and merciless enemy fire, and his fighting spirit inspired his troops to heights of heroic endeavor, of which enabled them to repulse the enemy and hold the Henderson airfield. He gallantly gave his life in service of his country. Major Bailey was born in Oklahoma, and he died that day when he was 32 years old, 49 minutes after the hour. And as I repeat so many times, the Medal of Honor is, to me, the high point of our program on Saturday mornings. These people, these men, these women, these doctors and combat veterans, pilots, these people are true heroes. And you can visit O'NeillOutside.com, search right there on the home page to a rather large medallion on the home page that will point you or take you to the accounts of the Medal of Honor. And I'll be surprised if you're not truly inspired and in awe. So let's talk now to Carter is calling from Winston, Georgia. Good morning, Carter. You're on the air.
Good morning.
I'm sorry it took so long. We had a lot of things to do this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
You're on the air, Carter.
Good morning.
Yes, sir.
How are you?
Good, good. Looking forward to the holidays.
Me too, ain't we all?
Yes, sir. What is it you have for me this morning, Carter?
The deer I killed earlier in the year.
Uh-huh.
You put me on your Facebook page about it.
Oh, I did? Okay, good.
And you wanted me to come on the show.
Oh, yes, okay. Well, tell me about it quickly. We've got 2 minutes.
Well, we had been hunting him for 3 years, and we just, my grandpa, he's actually seen him last year and shot at him and missed him.
Uh-huh.
And we really didn't think we'd have another chance at seeing him after that. But he showed back up this year, and he was way bigger from last year.
And how big was he, Carter?
He scored 147 inches.
That's a good Georgia deer.
Thank you. And I walked from the truck to where I was hunting at every day. It was a little over half a mile how far I was walking to and back, because we thought he was bedding in between where the truck we was parking at and where I was hunting at, so I was walking. And on the day I killed him, he was actually on the other side of the property that morning, and I killed him that afternoon on a doe. The doe had brought him all the way across the property that afternoon. Yep. So
that's a good deer hunting lesson. And I will tell you that most people, if they see a 147, they think it's about a 170. So a 147 is a large antlered Georgia deer or large antlered deer from anywhere.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It really is. So I think so. Congratulations are in order. Will you have it mounted?
Oh, yes, sir, I will.
Oh, good. That'll be a conversation piece and a memory for you the rest of your life.
Thank you.
You bet. Hey, I'm glad you called, my good friend, and for listening to the program. I appreciate it very much.
All right, you have a good day.
You too. Thanks for calling, sir. There we are. Okay, we've got another little piece to come up here, and then in the second hour of the program today, we will receive a call and be speaking to Emily Rushton, and I'll tell you all about her when we get back. 57 after the hour. This is O'Neill Outside. We've got a special second hour today. We will be receiving a call from and discussing over that next hour. It sounds early, but it's not. We're going to be talking with Emily Rushton about turkey hunting. Now, Emily is a Georgia DNR wildlife biologist. She knows about which she speaks. And we're going to talk to her for an hour or almost in the second hour of the program today. But one of the things I want to, now we talked about the strategies for the late season hunt that I got from the Realtree website, Realtree newsletter really. Some of them are obvious, okay? But it's in the second hour, the second part or the late season in which you need to concentrate a bit more. How so? Well, first of all, if you're hunting public land, because of the pressure of the deer season early, you need to go further into the woods. The big bucks, the herd bucks, have likely been pushed further away. okay? Number 2, not in this order of importance, hunt during the week if you can. We've got a lot of holidays coming up. Hunt during the week. And lastly, if you haven't tried this, if you want to have kind of an exciting hunt, if you're confident that if it's private property and you're confident there's no one else that's going to look and get excited and shoot you, then try still hunting. What is that? Are you hunting while you're sitting still? No. Still hunting is you hunting while the deer is still, while the deer is bedded. In these thick bedding areas, and it's highly concentrated. Camoed, scent, of course. Take 3 steps and stop. Take 3 steps and stop. I have read many stories that it does work. Second hour coming up with Emily Rushton. We'll have an intro, and then we're going to talk turkeys for the next hour. This is O'Neill, and we'll be back.
O'Neill Outside Radio is brought to you by these fine sponsors. CVA muzzleloaders, it's just a better gun. Bojangles' famous chicken and biscuits. Works Power and Garden Tools. Toyota, let's go places. Visit your local Toyota dealer today. Swaggerty Sausage, the finest premium pork sausage products. Tough Shed, great storage sheds and custom buildings.
Timbuktu Outdoors, the ideal solution to live bait.
Arctic Ice, the most durable, versatile, and effective cooler packs for the outdoorsman. Terminator, the best food plot implements on Earth. And the Georgia Department of Natural Resources, state parks, and historic sites.
From Black Powder headquarters in the Bojangles studio from Three Falls Cabin in the North Georgia mountains, O'Neill Outside presents CVA Radio. For anything in the outdoors, this is your source. Listen in and call the show with your comments or questions. And now, here's O'Neill.
Good morning, boys and girls from Black Powder headquarters. We've got a very special O'Neill Outside for you this morning. We'll be hearing from Emily Rushton. She's a turkey wildlife biologist, or a biologist, you know what I'm saying. And we'll be talking with her for an hour to bring us up to date about the turkey populations across the South. But before we get to her in the next few minutes, it's my pleasure to tell you that this program is brought to you every Saturday morning by people like Works Tools, Tough Shed, Striplings, Snellville Heating and Air, Rocco's, CVA Muzzleloaders, Gin Spring Power Generations, Mark Hurd Fuel. So we've got a lot of great sponsors of the program, and you can watch this show televised beginning on Mondays, every Monday in the evening on Facebook. This is a television show, exhaustively a television show. It's on Facebook, and you can watch it every week. So we've got a lot of things to do, and it's a full program, and it's my pleasure to invite you to consider the purchase of and reading for Christmas O'Neill Outside. People and Places Along the Way, 65 Years in the Outdoors. It's a paperback. You can get this, and it's got photos and things like that in it. And you can get it at Amazon. It's a 5-star rating at Amazon and at o'neilloutside.com website. Buy it right there off the home page. And I will, under your instructions, I will personalize it and sign it for you if that is your desire. Makes a great Christmas gift. I hope you'll consider the purchase, and more so, I hope you'll enjoy reading it. There's some stories about people and places along the way. The first time Gail and I went fishing together when we were both 18 years old, and my failed efforts to impress her with my fishing knowledge, remembering that it was a couple of 18 years old with my little brother, who at the time was 11, and what happened to us on that trip. And within the book, too, are many, I think 13, 14, big green egg recipes, more so than just taking a steak or a roast or a turkey and throwing it on the big green egg. No, indeed. The spices, the seasonings, and all the things that might go with cooking on the big green egg, I'm sure you will enjoy it. So, I got to get out of here. I'm late. This is O'Neill. I'm sorry, everybody. Hold on, everybody. We got to coordinate radio and television all together. Okay, I stepped on everything. It's been a difficult morning. Welcome to the program, everyone. Now we have a very, very special guest on the program this morning. For the next hour, we'll be accepting questions which will be passed along to us. But I want to introduce to you Emily Rushton, and Emily is with the Georgia Department of Natural Resources. Good morning, Emily.
Good morning. How are you?
Yes. Yeah, Emily has been a guest here on the show before, here at the studio, but we're going to do it by telephone this morning. Why don't you take a moment so the audience will give more credibility to our conversation and the things that you say. Give us your credentials a little bit, if you don't mind, Emily.
No problem. I am the Wild Turkey Program Coordinator for Georgia Department of Natural Resources. I'm a wildlife biologist, and I've been working with the Department of Natural Resources for almost 8 years now. I've been the Wild Turkey Coordinator, which means I'm in charge of all the turkey populations across the state. I've been in this position for about 2 years now.
Okay. So that population is what we want to talk about today, and I'll be fair with you. Deer season's still going on. Turkey season doesn't begin for quite a while. Why are we talking about this now?
Yeah, it's a funny time of year to be thinking about turkeys. Other than, seeing some flocks while you're deer hunting, people don't really have them on the brain. But we are gearing up to look at our regulations. We look at our hunting regulations on a 2-year cycle, and 2021 is a year that we're going to be looking at our regulations and changing them if we need to. And in January is when we start getting the public involved, and we have public meetings at the beginning of January to gather input on regulation changes that we're looking at for the next 2 years.
Okay, so let me ask you, pardon me for interrupting, but let me ask you, how would my audience in Georgia know when these meetings and these discussions are taking place, and how they can attend?
They are in the regulation guide that we put out every year. It's on our website, and you can get it at Walmart, anywhere. They're on page 6. These meetings have been set in place for a year now. And as of right now, we are still doing the in-person meetings. I know everybody's worried about safety right now with meeting in big groups, but we're good. As of right now, we're still doing them, and we are going to do a virtual option, and I know that's going to be on our Facebook page.
Okay. Well, good. Well answered. This is every 2 years, and out of deep respect, I will tell you that what you guys come up with, the recommendations that you make with regards seasons, whether it's white-tailed deer, turkeys, or whatever the case might be, I put a great deal of stock in it, because this is not a campfire story. This is well-researched results that affects the population and hunting regs and hunting successes for people all over the South and all over Georgia. With that in mind, then, how would you like to start this as regarding the turkey population and what's going on there?
Well, we know that they have been declining for 20 years or so at least in Georgia, and this isn't something unique to Georgia. This has been across the southeast. We've noticed that turkey populations are down, harvest success has been down, and we know, and we monitor their poults that they produce every summer, and that's really the best way for us to tell. And we have seen that our poult numbers are down pretty significantly. So, and this is like this in every state in the southeast. So we know that something is going on with our turkey population, and we've been, and the hunters definitely know too. And we've been hearing for a few years now that we need to do something with regard to our regulations to make sure that we keep our harvest sustainable and keep enough birds for future hunters.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, let's get into that for the next few minutes before the first break, and let me, of course, first of all, let's establish that what you're telling me today is not unique to the state of Georgia. It's all over the southeast, is it not?
No, it is not unique to Georgia. Some other states, South Carolina looked at their regulations. Arkansas looked at their regulations. Louisiana, all the turkey biologists, we're a tight group of turkey dorks, and so we pay attention to what everybody's doing, and we've had discussions about regulation changes and all the different, and throw ideas out for our different states to help these turkeys.
Okay, they're declining, and poult production is declining. Therefore, we have fewer. So, and we'll get to this subject and extend it through the next break. So, what's happening? Why are we having this reduction in turkey population?
Well, to be honest, we don't have one specific reason. We know that there are there's a combination of things. We know the habitat has changed a lot. Georgia, particularly, in the middle part of the state, in the Piedmont, that habitat has completely changed. There's much more suburban development. Some natural oak and pine stands have been converted to planted pine, and there's been some large scale habitat changes, and these habitat changes make it easier for predator populations to boom, and it makes it easier for them to predate turkey nests, and so that's something we're concerned with, and that's something that a lot of hunters are concerned with too. They've seen predator populations increase. They've seen coyotes come into their area, and so while predators, they're a problem, it's complicated. There's not, the solution isn't necessarily to get rid of all the predators, because it's not going to happen. But it's complicated, and we see, and we have a wet spring, and that combined with all these other factors can really stress the population. It's a combination of things.
Okay, well, before I get to the break, I've got about a minute here. I want, in my judgment, the eastern wild turkey is the number one big game animal in North America, because you have to be talented, practiced, and proficient in more different ways all at the same time to bag the eastern wild turkey than anything. Black bear, white-tailed deer, hogs, and so on. So we're going to talk about all of those things and the effect of these predators, and what the hunter may be able to do. And so I'm thrilled that you're here with us, and I hope I asked the proper questions. And you guys that are listening to the program, if you would like to call and ask Emily a question, I will certainly pass it along to her. And predated thanks for you to be here, and I have more questions for you. This is O'Neill with O'Neill Outside. I'm with Emily Rushton, Georgia Department of Natural Resources, and we're talking turkeys, and we'll be back. Welcome back, everyone. This is O'Neill Outside, and as we proceed, let me, in case you just joined us, let me reintroduce to you our special guest in the second hour of the program this morning, Emily Rushton. She's with the Georgia Department of Natural Resources. She's a turkey biologist, and we have some issues with regards to the turkey population, the upcoming regulations, and things of that nature. So instead of my normal guessing, I thought we'd have somebody on that's a professional. So welcome back, Emily.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Well, I appreciate you getting up so early and passing these things along to us. Okay, so we are witnessing a reduction over the long term of the population of the eastern wild turkey. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. What can the average turkey hunter, landowner, what can we do to help?
Well, if you're a private landowner, and most of the turkeys in Georgia do live on private land, you can pay attention to your habitat. You can research. The National Wild Turkey Federation has some good publications out there on their website on turkey habitat. So you can work to improve your habitat. You can always call us. We have private lands biologists who are willing to come out and write a habitat management plan. Also, a lot of us, just lease land or hunt on public land. Pay attention to your harvest and making sure that you're harvesting the appropriate number of birds for your area. A lot of people don't realize that, a gobbler in the springtime, he has a home range of several thousand acres. So, if you're harvesting, more than one or two birds on a lease, it can be, you can take out the birds that are, the whole cohort of birds in an area. So, that's something that, we hate to. We always want everybody to pursue their opportunities within the legal limits, but that's something we've noticed we've got to pay attention to, and we're actually, the research that we're doing is showing that we might be disrupting these birds during their breeding season more than we thought we were in the past.
Okay, so is the Georgia Department of Natural Resources going to change the regulations for the upcoming season?
I can't say for sure because everything we propose has to be approved by the board. We have to get public input. So, we don't know for sure what the regulation change is going to be, but we are proposing some turkey regulation changes. The hunters want to see the bag limit lowered. Most turkey hunters don't shoot 3 birds, but enough do that it'll at least help us carry over some birds for the next year. We're looking at things like a daily bag limit that if you only harvest 1 bird in a day, then get out of the woods and let these birds have a little bit more time undisturbed so they can breed, and hopefully that'll help our poult production.
If we change let's play if for a minute. We change the regulation and reduce the limit in whatever fashion you suggest there. How long will it take until we realize a change in the population?
Well, that's a tough one. The population didn't crash overnight or anything. This was years in the making, so it'll probably take years to improve it. Unfortunately, these things take time to realize whether we've had an impact or not. And, like I mentioned before, hunting isn't the only reason the populations decline, or even the reason. So it's not, the other stressors are still going to be there.
Okay, such as?
Such
as the predators?
The habitat changes, the predators. We've been seeing crazier weather the past few years. And looking into, I didn't mention this before, something that people can do is trapping. We have a trapping season in Georgia. If you get you can get a trapping license. You can get a free one if you're a landowner. You can get a free trapping permit, and trapping is a good way to. We don't know for sure to how much of an impact it has on a local population, particularly with species like coyotes, where they're transient, they're moving in and out of a landscape. But we can't, that's something that a landowner can do to try to reduce the predator pressure if they notice a bunch on their area.
Okay, the trapping. Who's the top 3 predators that's affecting the population?
Well, it's actually, some of them are actually pretty surprising. As far as nest predators go, the raccoons, and actually rat snakes are up there. But, rat snakes are actually protected under Georgia law. And possums, foxes, and bobcats will get their poult predators. And actually, other than hunters, the top predator for adult birds is the great horned owl.
Well,
which is surprising to a lot of people.
Emily, I've got to tell you that O'Neill's sitting here. Everything that you just said was a surprise. The owl, the raccoon, the possum, the fox, and the rat snake. All of those, I thought you'd have said, you always anticipate the answer to your questions. I thought you would have said the coyote and the hog would probably be the top 2, but they aren't necessarily.
Well, coyotes do predate nests and poults. So they're up there too. But and as far as hogs go, they're opportunistic. If they come across a nest, I think they would take one. They would certainly gobble up the eggs. But I think their impact is more on the habitat.
I see.
They're good at destroying habitat. But
well, I know the turkeys are afraid of them. I know that.
Yeah, and that's something else that we're looking at with our research too, is how even if, we have people, I have people all the time tell me that they caught a coyote and a group of gobblers on their trail camera. They're just sitting there staring at each other. The coyote doesn't necessarily kill the turkeys or eat them, but what is this doing to the turkey stress level, and how is that affecting their overall fitness and health? If they've had these new predators on the landscape that haven't been there before.
Okay. Let's see if I can ask this correctly. Does the Department of Natural Resources recommend that if you're in the woods, you're a deer hunter, you're a turkey hunter, if you see a hog or a coyote, do you immediately dispatch him?
A hog, absolutely, 100%. They're totally invasive. Coyotes, yes. As a hunter, I would. Really, the impact of taking coyotes off of your property during deer season isn't as big of an impact as trapping them right before nesting season. We did some research a few years ago that found that basically if you want to reduce the coyotes on your property, I say property, but we looked at it on a larger scale, you have to have sustained trapping
year-round
leading up to nesting season. Yeah.
Okay.
But, because they basically at this point, if you take out a resident coyote, there are transient ones waiting in the wings to enter into that territory. Well, unfortunately, so.
Well, you take out the one that you shot, but you really don't affect the population all that much.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Just the one that you.
But I'm certainly not going to tell anyone not to remove coyotes from their property.
Okay. You're saying yes.
Mm-hmm.
Please
Correct.
do so. Well, it stands to reason. I mean, how often are we in the woods with a rifle beyond the hunting season? So we're not in the woods with a rifle to dispatch the coyotes anyway. So trapping is the most effective method year-round.
Yes, coyotes can be trapped year-round.
Okay. Well, you're providing an awful lot of insight, and I got a minute before the next break. And if this were someone from Alabama, or a DNR person from Alabama, the Carolinas, Tennessee, whatever, generally my conversation with them would be the same one I'm having with you, would it not?
Yep. They are all seeing that they're all having the same concerns that we are. We've all been, monitoring poult production. How many poults per hen is sort of the gold standard for looking at our turkey populations, and these agencies have been doing it for 30 years like we have. So and they've seen the same thing.
Okay. All right. We got to go to a break here, Emily. I do appreciate you doing this for us, and we have more to talk about after this next break. This is O'Neill with O'Neill Outside, and if you'll stay right there, you'll find out more about the turkey population, and we'll be back. We've had the pleasure so far, and we will continue to speak with Emily Rushton. She's a Georgia Department of Natural Resources wildlife biologist with a specialization into the wild turkey population. And so we're learning so very much. And thank you again, Emily, for getting up so early to do this for us. Okay, so scattered subjects.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Well, it's one of the things about the radio program is that we've always tried to do is to provide people like yourself and O'Neill's big mouth so that from time to time, if people get up and listen, they can learn something. So let me ask you the following question. We're talking about these predators, especially the coyotes and so forth. Historically, does it help the harvest and reduction of predators if we add a bounty to them? How about that question?
Well, I get this question a lot.
Okay.
And it's and unfortunately, the states that have tried this, typically they end up spending a lot of money, and it doesn't actually decrease the population. Okay. It's very expensive, and really, my personal opinion is that money can be spent better on habitat and land, trying to purchase more land and things like that. Than a bounty that is usually ends up not actually reducing the population.
Okay. I've had a question.
Unfortunately, coyotes are here to stay in Georgia.
Okay. Yeah, they are indeed. Okay. A caller has written in a question for you, which is kind of unusual. So from its related subject, fellow Al called in and he said, on your property, you have, a nice drove of turkeys, nice population. And you and your buddies kill the top, what you think are the top two dominant gobblers. How does that affect the population of the drove? Does another turkey just take over as the boss?
That's a really good question.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very good question, and that's something that we're looking more into with this research that we're working on with UGA on. We think that, and some of this we've learned from domestic turkeys, that the dominant boss gobbler will suppress testosterone in other birds. So if he's out there, the biggest and the best, strutting, big old redhead, he can actually suppress testosterone. And so when we harvest him, before he has necessarily bred all the hens he's going to breed, we don't know how long it takes for another bird to build up the testosterone to become the dominant bird. So that's, there's a lot of unknowns that we have regarding harvesting birds when they're at the peak of their breeding and the peak of their testosterone production.
I am amazed. That is that answer amazes me. I had no idea. Been hunting turkeys for 30 years, and it's the first answer, the first topic on that subject that I've ever heard. Amazing. So, okay. Well, let's go back to...
this is something I've been learning recently, too.
Okay. Well, good. All right. Well, in Georgia, okay, is there a different level of population in the, here across the South? Is there a different level of population in the mountains versus the lowland or the flat part of the state? Can you tell me that?
Yes, turkey populations vary quite a bit across the state.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, our highest populations have been in the northwestern part of the state. They do really well. And the Piedmont, the middle region of the state, has that nice mixture of forested habitat with open pastures that, we know that turkeys like. But in the mountains, they do have good populations in the mountains, but as you know, a lot of it is forested without a lot of that open nesting habitat, and they'll still do well there, but there aren't. It's the same as white-tailed deer. That there are fewer white-tailed deer in the mountains just because they don't have that fawning habitat. So our turkey populations are a little bit lower up there.
Do you have, on the subject that we're discussing, do you have any recommendations beyond reading DNR publications? Do you have any reading recommendations so that this audience that are avid turkey hunters can expand and more cement their knowledge of this magnificent bird? Surprise question. We have a turkey management booklet on our website, and the National Wild Turkey Federation comes out with all sorts of management publications. Those are really two very good sources right there. Actually, I hate being a dog fan. I hate to do this, but the University of Tennessee actually has some good publications regarding what we call early successional habitat. They've got some professors there at the University of Tennessee that do a lot of work into maintaining grasslands and open fields with native plants that are, and they do a lot of food plot research too. So, I hate to steer people away from the University of Georgia, but that is, they do some good research up there. Okay, I want to jump back to the question that Al had called in about taking the boss or the two boss gobblers out of a drove.
Mm-hmm.
So the result of that very well could be the fact that drove not be bred. Is that correct?
Well,
is that unreasonable?
It's possible. No, it's not unreasonable. We know that like a hen turkey will, even if she starts laying, she will continue to be bred.
Mm-hmm.
And the competition, turkeys thrive by competition. The competition to be the gobbler that breeds, that's the best breeder, and the hen is going to pick the best breeder, and we don't know what goes on in their brains when we think she's going to pick the most dominant one, but we don't know who she picks or why she picks certain gobblers to breed with. So we don't know if we don't know the impact we're having by removing these dominant birds. Maybe she just quits being bred, and then if the more birds she breeds with, the better success she's going to have at having poults that survive.
Certainly. How many?
If she's not, yeah.
How many eggs are in the usual nest?
About 11 or so.
Okay. And out of that 11, under average conditions, out of those 11 eggs, if they're not destroyed, okay, so they all hatch. How many of those poults will live to adulthood?
If they all hatch, which is a big if, because only that's usually about 30%.
Oh.
Then about 25% or so of the poults will make it.
That's not very
I'll tell you this, if any given nest has a 7% chance of producing a poult that lives to the fall.
My goodness.
So, yeah, everything loves to eat a turkey egg and turkey poult.
Oh, yeah, it's on the ground and available. Okay, let's take a historical look. I love doing this sort of thing, so let's let you speculate for a moment, okay? How many wild turkeys are there in the United States now?
Oh, gosh.
Out of all the species.
And in the millions for sure. 10 million maybe? I'm not sure.
Okay, it's a lot, okay? So let's go back in your study and history of wildlife management of deer and turkey and all that in the United States. Here it is, 2020, and we're talking about literally millions of wild turkeys live in the United States, and it is a gigantic involvement in turkey hunting across the country. Okay. How many wild turkeys were in the United States 150 years ago?
Oh gosh, we got down to in the tens of thousands. It was extremely low.
Okay, so go ahead. I'm sorry. It was
so that's not to toot my own horn or anything as a wildlife biologist, but that's one of the best success stories we have is bringing back the wild turkey in the U.S.
All right. How did we do it, and who paid for it?
Hunters and anglers. Well, hunters with their hunting licenses, and their ammunition purchases paid for that. There's an excise tax that goes straight back to states' wildlife programs, and that paid for the biologists to trap turkeys and translocate them to areas where we had the habitat but didn't have the birds, and then that caused the population to explode. So,
well, that's
we can.
That's a self-serving question. I wanted to make that certain to people who listen this morning, because quite often, and I'm sure you may get this, I suspect you may get this too, a lot of people don't understand about why we have hunting seasons and why we have the availability of hunting seasons and who paid for it.
Yes.
It was us.
Yes. Yeah, the turkey hunters were a main driver in bringing the population back and main involvement in restoration of wild turkeys in North America. So,
would you have a voluntary organization that you might suggest that the general population or turkey hunters join so that they might expand their knowledge about this? We'll call it a sport.
Yes, yeah. The National Wild Turkey Federation. We work very closely with them. They're a great partner, and they are very, very passionate about turkey hunting and turkey restoration. They were an integral part of translocating turkeys too. So it's a great organization, and like everybody else, they were struggling this year. So,
I suppose so. Well, that would be my choice also. I think you should belong to the voluntary organization that helps the habitat and the birds and everything about it. So we need to take a break, and then I have more with Emily Rushton. Let's see. I'm sorry. I'm right on. I'm having a hard time with my times this morning, Emily. We'll be back, everyone. We've been talking with Emily Rushton, Georgia Department of Natural Resources wildlife professional with specialization into the wild turkey population, and we discovered many, many things. And I have one more question, and thanking her for getting up so early and participating in this program. Okay, Emily, without speculating what things that will change, I ask, will we have changes in regulations for the 2021 wild turkey season in Georgia?
They're all concerned. They want to see some changes. So yeah, we're gonna propose that we make our season a bit more conservative, in the hopes that we can sustain the population for future hunters.
Okay.
So yes, I don't know what the board will do, but I do believe that we will see.
Okay. Well, then I want
some changes.
I want to book you and Charlie Killmaster to come back up here to the show before the turkey season so that we can explain whatever those changes are. Is that a deal?
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely. I will be back up in person this time.
Okay. Well, that's good. Thank you so much.
We can discuss all thing regulation.
Okay. Thank you so much for your efforts.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
And getting up this morning and informing our audience about these things. Many of them things are the kind of a surprise. And I'm gratified that our monies, our taxes, and so forth, so rarely are spent so well, and that we realize so much from it. Thank you very, very much, Emily, for being with us this morning, and I hope to see you soon. There you are.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Have
it.
a great holiday season, and I'll look forward to seeing you soon.
You too.
You bet. Good day. All right, everybody, this is O'Neill, and we've jammed a lot in the last 2 hours, haven't we? Listen, this program will be on again next week and the following week or something of that nature. We're going to take a little bit of time off, Gail and I will, for the next couple of weeks for Christmas and New Year's. Have a great Christmas and holiday season, everyone, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Be safe.
I once asked a mighty hunter, coming home from the field, how he came to possess such mighty hunting and fishing skill. He said, "I'll tell you a secret, son. I learned everything I know from listening to O'Neill Outside on my radio."